Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly divining the word and truth and sincerity. And shalom to you believers out there, the Aki and Wa'akwath. And the video you just seen, all right, you see how, the countries with military, aircraft from 1 all the way to 13,000, being the U.S. having 13,000. All right. This is the eagle. And who is the eagle I'm referring to? Esau, Edom. All right. The red man. Okay. When you take a look at the back of your dollar bill, you will see an eagle. On the top of an American flagpole, you will see an eagle. Sometimes even in Russia's flag, you will see an eagle. All right. Because you got to remember, Russia is Edomite, under the Edomite hegemony as well. All right, Putin and all of his cap, Putin, their rulers. That's Esau, Edom, man. Who's able to come against the United States? It's Esau, Edom, because both of them been blessed with the sword. That's why U.S. is number 1. And Russia is number 2, depending on what you're talking about militarily. They fluctuate 1 and 2 because that's Esau, Edom with the sword. Now, when you go into the eagle, and it says right here, AI overview, it says, an eagle is a large, powerful bird of prey, known for his keen eyesight and strong hunting abilities, man. You can't make this up. All right. Now, when you go into Esau, Edom, matter of fact, let's look up birds of prey. I looked it up. And the meaning of birds of prey, meaning what? It says a predatory bird, distinguished by a hooked bill and sharp talons, a raptor, all right, which eagles is basically like the raptors of the sky, but it says it's a predatory bird, And when you go into Esau, Edom makeup, they're very predatory people. Now, just going to the scriptures, when you go into Genesis, the 25th chapter, and let's just go into Esau. Oh, matter of fact, when you go into Genesis 20, and it says Genesis 25 and 27, and then it says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Right, these are the characteristics of Esau and Jacob. Now, Esau was a cunning hunter, man, and that's on many different levels. All right, it's just not, shooting deer and things of that nature. No, he put out things from the, illnesses, pestilences. He got all the way to missiles, to the media, to television, to movies, all right, to music. This man will hunt you on the food, the water, the air. This man will hunt you on different levels. A cunning hunter. Now, when you go into that cunning hunter, the funniest thing, because I've done lessons on this before, and when you go into the cunning hunter, it says, wait, I might have looked up cunning. When you go into the hunter, it says what? Hunting game. And when you look up Esau, when you go to a Google search and type in hunter, you're going to see a lot of Edomites. Okay? That's what they love to do. They love to hunt for game, for sport. You might walk into one of these Edomites' offices, or in their home, they might have a deer head, or, bear head, or bear skin, or some type of thing, something like that. So when you get into Esau, man, his characteristics is predatory, like the eagle. Now, it says, going back in the AI overview, it says known for his keen eyesight. And you got to think about, the Lord have blessed this man with all type of technology. All right. He's able to go put his, as the scripture talk about, set his nest among the stars, which I'm going to get that. But going into space, all these satellites. He's able to, detect, look at the weather from up top, detect when a hurricane coming, detect when a rainstorm coming. You can go on Google Maps and see the world, basically all of the known world. All right, that's due to satellite imagery, man. That's keen eyesight. He's able to, um, you know, with his drones and satellites, drones, everything. This is him, man, with strong hunting abilities, because he's been blessed with the sword. Now, when you go into key characteristics, it says the eagle are among the largest birds of prey. All right, with strong talons and break beaks for catching and consuming prey. Sharp vision, again, they possess exceptional eyesight, allowing them to spot prey from great distances. And what is this man trying to set up? AI, to even further that keen eyesight. Okay? Flight. Eagles are known for their powerful flight capabilities and ability to soar at high altitudes. I think the eagle fly higher than all other birds, man. Again, again, this is the eagle, man. Esau Edom, man. Um, with his military, you see how, some countries might have 2 jets, 5, 10, 100. Even Russia only had 4,000. But U.S. had what? 13,000, man. 13,000 aircraft. Okay, and that video is 2 years old, and I looked it up, and it's still at 13,000. They might have gained a couple hundred more, but Russia's still, and you see Russia was number 2 with the 4,000. Why? Because that's Esau Edom, man. That's the eagle. They still the eagle, even though Russia is the bear and all that. They still the eagle as well, being Esau Edom. But the U.S. is really that eagle, and I found this very, very interesting, because the bald eagle was officially declared the U.S. national bird after 250 years. All right, but it's always been used. And Joe Biden, I remember when he signed it in. He signed it in Christmas Eve. Basically, he signed it into law on Saturnalia, man. If you go deeper, all right, signed it in right before they fall, because the kingdoms, they really, have a 250-year lifespan. But one thing I found was very interesting was what? It says, not everyone has always agreed about the national status of the bald eagle. Founding father Benjamin Franklin objected to the creature being chosen to represent the country, calling it a bird of bad moral character, man. All right, so Ben Franklin said the eagle was a bad moral character. Now, when you go into the scriptures, let's go to Job 30. Because this is going into Esau. It says, I'm going to start at the point of verse 5. It says what? They were driven forth from among men. They cry after them as after a thief, to dwell in the clefts of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. All right. And the eagle, when you look it up in the Wikipedia, I found this interesting. It says, all right, eagles normally build their nests, called eyries, in tall trees or high cliffs. You see what I'm saying? They build their eyries, their nests, in tall trees and high cliffs. Now, when you go back to Esau, where was he at? All right, he was in those. Verse 6, to dwell in the cliffs and in the valley, in the caves of the earth, in the rocks, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yeah, children of base men, all right? They were viler than the earth, right? Bad moral character, all right? They came out of them caves, with all type of immorality that they let spread out, man. They wasn't bathing, all right? All type of inbreeding, and just all type of madness and folly. They really couldn't speak, you know. They were the basis of man. Children, children of fools, viler than the whole earth. But the Lord raised them up to fulfill prophecy, man. But you see bad moral character. Now, they was dwelling in the clefts of the rocks. And when you get Obadiah, you can clearly see Obadiah 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised, and that's what you see what's going on right now. All right, these heathen nations come kicking against the prince with Esau because they have beefed up their military. But a lot of these other countries is teaming together because again, Esau had that sword. You have China, they might make deals with who? Russia, which are Edomites. All right, and then North Korea with India, and so on and so forth. Then you got Iran, and so on and so forth. But verse 3, it says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. All right. And when you get into pride, that's that's could be considered that could be considered somebody with a bad moral character. Okay? It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rocks. There you go again. Just like an eagle, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. All right, why would the Lord call Edom the eagle, man? Why? And then Esau go on to use these birds all through, putting them on shields and flags and things of that nature, man. The scriptures don't miss, because this is who it is. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, all right, going into space, that satellites, all right, all the way to, these high rises. You got to think Esau loved him some high rises. All right. Set down nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So the Lord gonna bring Esau down, man. And that's prophesied. It happened with ancient Rome. The Lord brought that down, and it's gonna happen again with Rome 2.0. All right, I'm gonna get that in the scriptures, Lord willing, through the Spirit. Now, when you go into, let me see. I'll just get it here. When you go into, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Because the Lord said he was going to bring us to Egypt again in ships, right? But he also said this, right? Deuteronomy 28, starting at verse 47, he said what? Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. And Esau, Edom is our arch enemy, in hunger and thirst and nakedness and the want of all things. And this is why we have to go to this man, Esau, Edom, for all things, whether it be, your food, your clothes. All right, you might want to get a loan. It all trickles down to Esau, Edom. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And he's done that literally and figuratively as well. Put that yoke of iron. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth. Right, man. And that was Esau, Edom, man. And these devils, in the spirit, the Lord put the spirit on them to use the eagle as their national bird and to represent it, and even put it on the money. A nation whose tongue thou should not understand. Okay? A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shall show favor of the young. Right? A predatory bird, man. A hunter. All right? A fierce countenance. When you see an eagle compared to a regular bird, hey, that regular bird will be scared of that eagle due to his build. All right. Even when you go here to when you go back to the Wikipedia, matter of fact, not the Wikipedia, when you go back to the AI overview, It says, size and strength. Eagles are the largest birds of prey. They the largest with strong talons and beaks for catching and consuming prey. So they're the biggest of birds, whether it be a falcon, a blue jay, a cardinal, all right, you know, whatever type of bird, the eagle is larger, man, which means what? All right, they're gonna have that fierce countenance. All right. Somebody, if you 5'9" and 150, and somebody walk in and they 6'8", you know, muscular, 250. Hey, it's gonna be even in that. It's gonna, you know, everybody in the room about 5'9", 5'10". It's gonna, that man is gonna walk in with a fierce countenance. You know, he's, especially if he's looking mad, meaning, you know, a fierce countenance is like going into basically having a fierce look. Okay. So now, but the Lord said he was going to bring the eagle against us. A nation swift as the eagle. All right. And that's Esau Edom, man. Now, when you go to, let's get this. Because it said they was birds of prey. All right. You keep talking about that they're birds of prey. And when we looked it up, birds of prey, what happened? Birds of prey meaning what? A predatory bird. Okay? Predatory. On the hunt. Now, let's go to let's go to Micah chapter 2. Starting at verse 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right, the earth been given into the hand of the wicked. This is Esau, Edom rulership. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And this is Esau, Edom. He goes all over the planet Earth. You know, if he wants something, he'll take it by what? Violence. He might do a smear campaign in his media. All right. Because his media is a part of that sword, man. And then make, you know, somebody look like the bad guy. So then he can come in with the military and what? Take it. Take it for what? Their natural resources. All right. That heritage. All right. Take a man, even a man and his heritage. All right. He took slaves. All right. He took houses, everything, man. This man got. He's been very predatory. When somebody predatory, they just take. And this is Esau Edom, the eagle, man. Just like the eagle is predatory, well, Esau Edom is the same way. And that's why, because let's go to the humble beginnings. I think I got it already queued up. Let's go to Genesis 27. It might be Genesis. Yep. Genesis 27, starting at verse 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Okay. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. This is what he got right now. And the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shall thou live. All right. And by thy sword shall thou live, man. All right. This is, and now let's get this, because it said Esau is gonna live by the sword. Now when you go, I've done lessons on this. When you go to the Bible Hub on the 27 and 40, Genesis 27 and 40, and you go to Matthew Poole's commentary, all of these is pretty decent, but he has hit a point. When you go to Matthew Poole's commentary, it says, by thy sword shall thou live, right? By violence. I'm on the left side of the page, Matthew Poole's. It says, by violence, rapine, in an unquiet military posture, up, troubling others, up, predatory, and forced to defend thyself. But this, as also the following clause, though spoke to Esau, right, it was actually spoken to Esau, the man Esau, was not fulfilled in him, but in his posterity, the Edomites. So it wasn't necessarily Esau, even though he was a damn, you know, degenerate as well. You know, he wanted to kill Jacob as well, but it was really fulfilled in his posterity, his offsprings, the Edomites. And the Edomites are not done away with. They are still alive today, and they are the so called YT people, man. All right, the red man, the eagle. All right, whose history makes good on this prophecy. All right, thus things spoken and promised to Abraham were fulfilled in his posterity in Genesis. All right, so it said Esau, you know, um, troubling others, forced to defend thyself. It's another one too. Hold on. It's another one that's good. Let me see. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Because they be going in on Esau on this one. Let me see. So it said troubling others. All right. It says, where that other one? Because I remember doing lessons on this. I might have passed it. Let's go. Bear with me 1 second. Yep, the pulpit commentary on the right side. It says, and by thy sword shall thou live. Literally. See, literally. Upon thy sword shall thy be, i.e., thy maintenance shall depend on the sword. Right. United States, their maintenance depend on the sword, man. That's why they go around, looking what they can rob, rape, and plunder. All right, for resources. All right. It says, and even defending itself from other countries. But mainly they on the offense. All right, because when you predatory, you on the offense, man. That's Esau. Esau is not really defending. He's always on the predatory. All right, he always starting the war. All right. So it says, thy maintenance shall depend on thy sword. A prediction that Esau's descendants should be a warlike and tumultuous people of predatory you can't make this up. Of predatory habits. All right? Of predatory habits, man. Okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to go over here. Because when you get, let me make sure I got it all. Yep. Now, when you go to 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter, that's going into ancient Roman Empire. But when you go into the ancient Roman Empire, which are Edomites, let's start at verse, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Start at verse 1. It says, then I saw in a dream, and behold, there come up from the sea an eagle. All right. This is going into ancient Rome, the 12 Caesars, which had 12 feathers, 12 feather wings, and 3 heads. This is going into the 12 Caesars. Okay. Matter of fact, let's do this to further explain. Now, when you go into the 12 feathers, all right, number 1 would be Julius Caesar. Okay. You will have, and I ain't going to go too deep into it. I'm just touching on it. All right. The 12 feathers is Julius Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Ortho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. Those are the 12 feathers. All right. Those are the 12 feathers. And I believe the three heads are the first triumvirate. That would be Julius Caesar, okay, Pompey, and Crassus. That's the 3 heads. All right, these are the Edomites. Verse 2, and I saw, and behold, she spread her wings all over the earth, and all over the all the winds of the air blew on her and were gathered together. All right, and all the winds, it just means all of the nations. All right, that influence that Rome basically had at that time. Okay, just like now, this is Rome 2.0. In America, you have something called Americanized. You can go somewhere in Saudi Arabia or some African town or anywhere, and Esau footprints will be there, whether it be a McDonald's, whether it be, somebody twerking. That's all because Esau have, a disgruntled wife. She want to do what she want to do. Feminism. That spread it all over the world. All right. All the way, it's just like in ancient Rome. They had dominance all over the known world at that time, man. But those winds go into the nations. Okay. So when you go into now let's jump down to verse, because this is ancient Rome. But America stems from ancient Rome, because when let's get this in a lot of ways. Now we know she was birthed through Great Britain, but the Edomites, okay, America is a reincarnation of Rome, man. It's Rome 2.0. When you get Devin, when you get Daniel, the 7th chapter and the 7th verse, it says, and after this I saw in night visions, and behold, a fourth beast. That fourth beast is what? Ancient Rome. Dreadful and terrible, okay? And strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. Now, when you get into the Roman Empire, that I believe they was the first ones to deal with, to implement iron, all right? Because, like, when you go to the empires, gold, okay, you go from gold to silver. Silver is physically stronger than the gold. But then you got the brass that's physically stronger than the silver, I believe. And then you have the iron that's physically stronger than the brass, which would be stronger than all of them. All right. It said it had great iron teeth. It devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Okay. And when you go to verse 8, it says what? And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Now that little horn is going into the United States. See? Rome 2.0. All right. But so when you look at the architecture of America, all right, it was diverse from all the beasts because it had a Senate. You can get that in First Maccabees. All right, going in like the 8th chapter, which I'm gonna read. Okay, and these are the Edomites, man. Rome 2.0. All right, so now going back, let's go back to 2nd Esdras 11, chapter 5. It says, moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers and reigned upon the earth and over all them that dwell therein. Again, going into, that influence. Verse 6, I saw that all the things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon the earth. Again, that influence of the known world at that time. Okay. It also had vassal states. Okay. And when I read the 8th chapter of First Maccabees, it's going to kind of briefly go into that. Okay. It's going into that. But you see 2nd Esdras 11 going into the eagle, ancient Rome. And what is America? Rome 2.0. Now, when you go to 1 Maccabees 8, in verse 1, it says, now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, such as would lovingly accept all that join themselves unto them, and make a league of enmity with all that came unto them. All right. That they were great men, that they were men of great valor. It was told of him also of their wars and noble acts. We read in the commentary how Esau, Edom, they would be a warlike people. Okay. And noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute. All right. Vassals. And what they had done in the country of Spain for winning of the mines of silver and gold, which they plundering, taking the resources. It's the same thing they do today. All right. This is Rome 2.0, America. At that time, ancient Rome had the strongest military. They weren't aerial, But that sword then metastasized to a literal sword, to a missile. All right. This is why this empire, Rome 2.0, is even greater than ancient Rome. That's why Yahweh Shah gotta come. And how Yahweh Shah and the heavenly host gonna come? They gonna come aerial. All right. You gotta fight. They gonna fight fire with fire. Okay, literally. Okay. And it says, verse 4, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place. See? That it were very far from them. All right. They conquered far and near. Just like America. They got military bases all over the world. America, basically got vassals all over the world. All right. They got places that's on lock. Even when you go to the French, all right, Russia, okay, French all up in Africa. You had Great Britain, all in that's Esau Edom, man. But when you speaking about America, okay, they still got things on lock around the world, man. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost parts of the earth, till they had discomforted them and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year, right, the vassals. Besides this, how they had discomforted in battle Philip and Perseus, king of Sidon, with others that lifted up themselves against them and had overcome them. So anybody that came against Rome, you was getting dismantled. And that's because the Lord was with them, using them to fulfill prophecy. Just like now, today, anybody that at a certain point came up, especially in America heyday, they was the first to drop them atom bombs and all of that. You came against America, you was doomed. Why? Because this is kingdoms get reincarnated. All right. This is that little horn that came up, okay, from the fourth beast. All right. And the fourth beast was what? Rome. It says, verse 6, how also Antiochus, the great king of Asia, that came against them in battle, having 120 elephants with horsemen and chariots and very great army, was discomforted by them, and how they took him alive and convened that he and such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon. And the country of India and Media and Lydia, and of the goodliest countries which they took of him, and gave to King Eumenes. Moreover, how the Grecians had determined to come and destroy them, and that they, having knowledge of, sent against them a certain captain, and fighting with them slew many of them, and carried away captives their wives and their children, and spoiled them, and took possessions of their lands, and pulled down their strongholds, and brought them to be their servants until this day. Right. What did it say in Micah 2? It says what? To take a man and his heritage, all right, by violence. Verse 11, it was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. All right. And that's why in 2nd Esdras 11, let's go back there. It said what? It said in verse 6, it says, and I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her. No, not one creature upon earth. All right. Not one, nobody. When Rome was on top, they was doing it big, man, with their military, just like the United States. They got the most fighter jets. They right under Russia with missiles. All right. The American military is very, very powerful, man. This is why Russia had to team up. All these other nations had to team up with Russia because of America's power, man. That lets you know. So back in 1 Maccabees 8, verse 11, it says, it was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept enmity. And what do America do today with their friends? All right, you good. Okay. When you that's why Israel walking around like they big and bad. Why? because they are friends with United States. They friends with that eagle, man, which they Edomites as well. But again, the United States is the military. They have been, used for their military strength, man. All right. So it says, continuing in verse 12, and they that had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, and so much as all that heard of their name were afraid of them. That's how United States, they kind of losing they ain't lost it all, because everybody know United States is still powerful, man. All right. You can't slip. You can't just be like, oh, you're gonna run through American military. No. But they have lost a little pep in their step as far as people being scared. That's why the what's that scripture? That oh my gosh. Let the heathen say I'm strong, roughly paraphrasing. Let me get it. All right, so in Joel chapter 3, in verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what we seeing now, man. All right. We in this time of wars and rumors of wars. But you see all of these heathen nations, beefing up their military, all right, coming to Russia. They either with United States or Russia, man. That's Esau, man. They got the swords. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. So when you go back, First Maccabees 8, all right, it said that they conquered far and nigh, all right, in so much as all that heard of their name was afraid. Well, the weak is saying, I'm strong right now. They lost a little pep. They in that step, far as they lost that. America is not seen as the fierce nation as we was on certain levels, but that's prophecy, because that eagle is going to get took down, man. Okay, verse 13, also there, whom they will help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace. All right, they did what they wanted to do. Finally, that they were greatly exalted, yet for all this none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. And this is how they became diverse. Moreover, how they made for themselves a senate house. See, ancient Rome. And now in Rome 2.0, we have a senate house, man. Same thing. They had plebeians and patricians. We got Democrats and Republicans. All right. Wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end that they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year. And right, we get a so-called president every 4 years, who ruled over all the country, and that they were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. Now, because before, Rome, a king, he would pass that to his son, and then you knew who was going to rule, you know what I'm saying? Just like after David, he appointed Solomon. He appointed, the kingdom got split. But at the same time, it was Rehoboam. All right, but when you go, before Rome, it was always passed from son to a son to a son, basically. But with Rome, they didn't do that. They didn't have a monarchy. All right. And just like today, you basically got the elite families that run things. It's not like one person is running the whole show. Okay. But if you want to go into a sense of a president, well, yeah, we get a president every 4 years. So, but I just wanted to bring this out. So again, the eagle. I thought it was very, very interesting, man. I just wanted to, a lesson that was, on my mind, just getting in. You see, that's basically on the back of the dollar bill right there, man. Can't make it up. So, Lord willing, this is edifying to the next lesson. Shalom.